Hi guys, this week I wanted to do a book review for you, mainly because there was a book I read that I cannot get out of my mind, and I've read a lot of books recently. At this one I managed to read it in one sitting. It was about 200 pages long and I probably read it in about an hour and a half ish. It was that good. I was gripped. And it's called The Burning, and it's by Laura Bates. And I'll admit that I know you're not supposed to judge a book on its cover, but it was the cover that kind of got me to download it. But yeah, so I downloaded this book and all I seen was the cover. I didn't really know what it was about, but it was in the young adult section, and I just thought, you know, I'm 30, I'm technically a young adult, but yeah, I cried reading this book. I wanted to fight for the main character in this book, and this means that I want to fight for anybody who's ever put in this situation, and it's made me really think about the subject matter. Now, the subject matter could be a trigger for some people, I'll say that. There's things about sexual abuse in there and online bullying, and so I don't want there to be any kind of misconceptions going into this book about what it's about. I admit, because it's set in high school and anybody can relate to the high school experience, and the fact is, what happens to people in high school, it never leaves you. I'll admit I'm still harbouring some grudges against some people I went to school with, and I'm sure some of them might be harbouring grudges against me, because we all do stupid things when we're at school. In this case, it's about a young girl who, after her father dies, she and her mum moved to Scotland from, I want to say Birmingham. It's either Birmingham or Nottingham, I'll have to double check that. And she's basically moved to start over. And, you know, her mum's got a new job, working at the hospital. A rumour is like a fire. You might think you've extinguished it, but all it takes is one spark. And it says this is a book teen girls need to read. That's a quote from Holly Bourne. So that is the cover. This book made me cry. It made me angry. And even though it says on the cover, this is a book that teen girls need to read, I believe that 50-year-old white men need to read this book. I think teenagers need to read this book. I think 30-year-olds need to read this book. Basically, even though it's kind of a teen girl book, it's more than that. It's a bit, I guess you could say that it's political. And I saw a page on this book that really stood out to me, because while she's going through all this stuff, dealing with moving to a new school and, you know, dealing with the death of her father and dealing with stuff that happened to her old school catching up to her, one page in the book really stood out to me. I want this quote to spread like wildfire. During the book, she's researching a witch. And, you know, she's doing this history project and she's finding out about this woman who was burned as a witch. And in one of the I'll just read you the excerpt from it. It says, "I've read something in one of my research books, a saying that goes, 'We are the granddaughters of the witches you could not burn.' I think about Maggie," this is the witch, "about the necklace, about her baby, about walking in her shoes. I feel a little piece of her inside of me now, holding me up, helping me to stand straighter, and I whisper to myself, 'We are the granddaughters of the witches you burned, and we are not putting up with it anymore.'" I find that so powerful. It's such a good book. It's so powerful. It really gets you thinking. And the thing is, it's so relevant. It's about a young girl who is trying to put her past behind her. I don't want to spoil it too much for people who read it. Her history comes to bite her in the ass, basically, and it shouldn't, because she thought she had dealt with it, And there's a point towards the end where her mother stands up for her, and it's amazing. It just got me thinking, and I keep repeating this one line: we are the granddaughters of the witches you burned, and we're not putting up with it anymore. Because I find it so applicable to what's happening in the world right now. And I've been scared of sharing my political beliefs on this platform because I know people are ripped to shreds for their political opinions. But yeah, so I recommend everybody read this book. Brilliant, brilliant book. And it's called The Burning. And it's by Laura Bates. Please, please read it. It's very, very powerful for what is considered a teen, young adult novel. At like 213 pages, it's not that long. For someone who's quite a quick reader like me, it took me, what, an hour and a half maybe, somewhere between there to read it in one sitting. And yes, I've read every single word, I'm just a quick reader. But this is one book that's going to sit with me for a very, very long time. And to be honest, I think it's quite possibly one of my favourite books now. There's also a little bit of, I guess, magic in a way in the book. So if you like that kind of thing. But yeah, when I see what's happening in the world, and I see how the world is falling apart, and when I read this book, the first thing I thought when I finished the last page was there was some 50-year-old white men who really need to read this book. So yeah, it's The Burning by Laura Bates. I read this on my library app because I got a library card. I'm sure you can find it on probably Amazon or Kindle or any other book reading sites. I don't know if there's an audio book. I just read the regular book, but it was a very, very good book, and I definitely recommend it. But yeah, go in with an open mind, that's what I'd say, and really think about what you've read when you've finished reading it. That's all I have to say. I'll see you next week.